Hi, welcome back. We are off to the races today because I am going to be rating 20 skin tints in my collection. And when I say 20, this is like every single skin tint in my collection. I counted up beforehand. It's taken me about 4 days to do face swatches for you all of each of my skin tints. And you know, we hold our skin tints near and dear to our heart here in this corner. We live, laugh, love a good skin tint. And I saw Jamie Page Beauty do this a couple years back, and also Allie Glines. And honestly, my procrastination just I couldn't wrap my brain around how long it was going to take to film demos of each skin tint. But I finally sucked it up and I did it, and here we go. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to rate them 1 to 5, 1 being horrible, 5 being amazing. I don't know if I have any horrible ones. Spoiler, I definitely have ones that I reach for the least amount, but that's how it's going to work. And I have face demos, like where I'm actually applying on my skin. For most of these, I think there were 6 that I just have to swatch on the back of my hand, mainly because they're too light for me and you wouldn't be able to see how they looked anyways. So most of these I was able to do face application with. So let's swing into it. Let's start off with what I am wearing right now. And I am actually wearing 2 different skin tints, which you will see in most of the video because that's just how I had to do it. My skin is way too sensitive to be applying one skin tint and then wiping off and reapplying like 6 times. So the way that I filmed this is I filmed 4 skin tints each day for like the past 4 days. And I filmed 1 for each side of my face. So I'm wearing 2 skin tints right now. The one on the left side of my face, we will start with that one because I think this one is severely underrated. This one could seriously use more love. I think it is beautiful. Even looking at my skin today, I have not worn this in a long time and I was like, wow, like I remember why I love this so much. And it is the Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. This is one of the higher coverage skin tints in my collection. I would say that this will borderline go into medium coverage if you apply 2 layers. I would say it would take definitely 2 layers to get a medium coverage with this, but it gives a significant amount of coverage. And I just love the versatility with this, especially for days when I need a little bit more coverage, but I don't want to go in with a full-on foundation. This gives such a super smooth appearance to the skin. I've just always been such a fan of this since the first day I tried it, and I feel like it gives such a smooth and even finish each and every time. So honestly, we're going to start out strong. I'm going to give this one a 4.5. The only reason I'm going to take away half a star is I don't like the packaging. I don't like the dropper bottle situation. It's just not user-friendly to me. I need my skin tints to be user-friendly. Like I need them to be ready to go in the hand, easy to apply. But other than that, A+ formula, and it's totally underrated. We have an old school girly on the right side of the face today, bareMinerals Complexion Rescue, and this was out of my collection for a long time. I only repurchased a mini when I went on my trip to Sonoma back in May because I wanted something travel friendly and I wanted something that had SPF and that was just going to be easy to throw on, quickly in the mornings while we explored wine country. And of course, I went back to trusty Complexion Rescue. And you know what? I'm happy that I did because I've been using this quite frequently. I'm almost out of the little travel tube here. So that's what I'm wearing on this side of the face. And I can just always count on this for when my skin is feeling very sensitive or really dry. This feels very hydrating, very calming on the skin. It doesn't irritate my skin further, and it just feels really nice to wear. So this is one that I have always reached for as a sensitive skin girly. Just as something that's trustworthy that I know won't flare up my skin further, but will offer a little bit of coverage. Coverage on this is just light. Like I'm just gonna say this is pretty typical in terms of skin tints or a tinted moisturizer. I would say pretty typical coverage. So I am going to give Complexion Rescue a 4-star. And the reason for docking a star here is number 1, I don't think the shade selection is great in Complexion Rescue. It never really has been. And number 2, let's talk about texture. When I have texture, I would not reach for this in particular. If I have dry patches, now I will, just because like some days I just don't care. Like I'll throw it on because it feels good, but I do find that it has a tendency to cling to dry patches or texture. And let's be real, what doesn't? Like, I mean, the more you put on top of textured areas, the more it's going to come through later in the day. So I can't really fault it too much for that, but just do want to make you aware. If you are someone who struggles with extreme texture or dryness or dry patches, you may want to test this out first. Let's move to some drugstore skin tints, and I'm going to start out strong with probably one of the oldest skin tints in my collection. I'm not talking about like in terms of this particular one. I just mean the most probably repurchased or reoccurring skin tint in my collection, and quite possibly maybe one of the first, because this has been out for a very long time. I've always rode very hard with this skin tint. It's still just as good as it was back in the day, and we are referring to Neutrogena Hydro Boost. So we know her, we love her. Contrary to my complaint about the dropper style bottle with the Beauty Blender skin tint, this has a doe foot applicator, which I have always loved. And I know some people are like, man, it's not sanitary. Well, what is sanitary? Like, my face is experiencing so many different textures, products, formulations. So, you know, if you're that concerned about it, then you can just put it on the back of your hand, whatever. This is honestly one of the best affordable skin tints, in my opinion. It is hydrating. It has hyaluronic acid in it. It just feels like a really luxurious gel on the skin. I've always said this feels like a gel-like consistency when you put it on. It gives you perfect light coverage. I would say this one might border into light medium if you use a brush with it. Great all year round pick. This is one that I really enjoy in the summertime and also in the winter fall months because it is very hydrating, so it kind of feels relieving on the skin when you put it on, especially if you are struggling with dryness. The only fault that I have in this, and I would give it a 5-star, but if I'm going to be fair about the shade range of bareMinerals, then I have to be fair about it with Neutrogena. Shade range also sucks in this Neutrogena lineup. Like, I think that they could definitely do more, as a lot of drugstore brands could. I don't know why they don't, but I am going to dock half a star for that, and we're going to give her a solid 4.5 because I do think that formulation-wise, this is one of the best drugstore skin tints on the market. Let's compare her to the Neutrogena Serum Foundation. Now, I know this is marketed as a foundation. I would consider it a skin tint. You can get light medium to medium coverage with this. You do have to build it up quite a bit if you want medium coverage, and also make sure that you are using a brush. So this is another one that feels really hydrating on the skin. A different type of hydrating. The Neutrogena Healthy Skin Tint that I just talked about feels more cooling and hydrating, whereas this is, like the name says, it's more of like a serum hydration. So if that sounds like something that would benefit your skin more, you may want to look into this. You can also get more coverage out of this particular formulation. I do find that with this, I don't like building it up more than like a light coverage. I just think it looks best in the light coverage arena, although you could get more. I just don't think it looks that good built up. So now the shade range is better in this lineup, and I would say if you're looking for something similar to the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Tint, with a better shade selection and also maybe a little bit more coverage, you might be more inclined to pick this one up. I'm going to give this one like a 3.8. I just will generally pick the first Neutrogena skin tint that I talked about over this one. I like this one. I think it is a little bit more versatile in terms of its abilities, but in terms of like what I like for a daily wear, there's just something about the original Neutrogena Hydro Boost skin tint that makes my skin look so youthful and healthy, and it's just a hard formula to beat. So it's really hard to put this one up against it, although it is a perfectly good skin tint. I still have to hand it to Hydro Boost. So I'm going to give this one about a 3.8. Let's talk about two skin tints that I feel are so similar. Like, I feel like the formulation is almost identical in these, and they are formulas that from brands that I love. I love these brands to death. Most of their launches are just like absolute fire to me. But I will say with both of these skin tints, I almost find that they're both too glowy. And so I'm kind of going to talk about these together because I feel like I'm going to give them the same rating anyways. But it's Tower 28 Sunny Days Tinted Moisturizer, and then the Say Beauty Slip Tint. I would say Say Beauty Slip Tint is a little bit more dewy than the Tower 28, but these are both very, very, very dewy complexion products. And when I use the Say Slip Tint, I have to be very careful. Like one pump max, or I am just a total glow ball. Like I said, the Tower 28 one, I can manipulate a little bit more. It's a little less glowy. But the only time that I really find myself reaching for these is when I don't really plan to wear anything else but these, if that makes sense. Like if these both have SPF in them, so they're great for the summertime. So for example, if I just want to throw on something to quickly give my skin some color or even out some discoloration, you know, I might reach for these. But I do not enjoy using these if I am wearing other makeup, if that makes sense. Like if I'm putting other makeup on top, if I'm doing a full face makeup look, these are not ones that I'm going to reach for because they just are so overly glowy. Even with powder, I find that they break through. I'm going to give Slip Tint a 2.5 and Sunny Days a 3. 3 just being kind of in the middle, not a bad formula. It's just the glow amount is too much for me. Since these do have SPF in them, sometimes I wonder if they irritate my skin a little bit because I do find with both of these formulas, after I apply them or after I remove my makeup, I'm a little red. But the Slip Tint gets a 2.5 for me because number one, I think it's overly glowy. Number two, I really don't get like any coverage with Slip Tint. We're coming in to sheer to light and more so just on the sheer side. So I just don't find I really get coverage with this. It's more of just adding a little bit of color to my skin and a lot of glow. Like I said, love these girlies to death, but the skin tints are, and again, like this is a preference thing. As I'm getting older, I talk about like rule of balance, how I want my complexion products to not be overly glowy, but also not overly matte. I like something in between that has like a satin finish, and that's just not these. And you know, different strokes for different folks. I ate almonds right before this video and I knew it. I had something in my teeth, so if you saw it, you didn't. Let's talk a little bit about some boutique brands here. I'm gonna start off with Trini London's BFF Serum De-Stress. Now, I've had a long-term relationship with Trini London. I started using this brand, I feel like when they first popped up on the scene. It's been at least 5 years. I don't know if this is their latest launch because I will be honest, I haven't purchased from them in at least a year now, but this is the BFF Serum De-Stress, and they originally had just a BFF cream. It was called BFF cream and it was a shade adjusting cream. I actually like that one over this one. I don't know why. There's something about that one that I think has a really cool blurring property. I wish I had it here to show you, but I don't. I have this one because I ran out of my other one and this was just the new one that I wanted to try. But this is a nice formula. Trini London is expensive. Like it is expensive, and some of her products I feel are worth it and some I just feel are not. And this is one of those products that I feel like would have to go into that category for the price points. This is a $50 tinted moisturizer, okay? Hands down, I would pick my Neutrogena over this one all day, every day, you know, $12.99 compared to $50. There is a fragrance in all of Trini's products, and I have got to say, I love it. Like I'm obsessed with it, and I feel like you will either love it or you will hate it. And it's nostalgic to me, and I cannot put my finger on what her products smell like, but her complexion products they have to contain some type of fragrance, which again is kind of like a red flag. And especially as my skin has gotten more sensitive the past couple years, I have to be very careful with that. I have never had a reaction to this, but I have to be honest, I probably haven't worn this in like 6 months. So who knows? It could be a toss-up. I'm going to give this a 3.5. It is a light coverage, very pretty, typical tinted moisturizer. I cannot complain by the way that it looks. I cannot complain by the way it holds up, especially if you use it with the rest of the Trini products. It looks very nice. But like I said, it is expensive, and there are several that I'm going to talk about today that are half the price, if not less. I do appreciate Trini formulas. I like a lot of them, but this one just kind of sits in the middle for me. Let's talk about the drama queen in the room, Jones Road, with the foundation. She caused quite the stir at the beginning of the year. I think, was it the beginning of the year or was it last year? I think it might have been last year that this ruffled the tail feathers, at least over on TikTok. There was a lot of drama with this foundation, and I say foundation, it is not a foundation. It is a skin tint through and through. The way I like to describe this is a thick moisturizer with like a few drops of pigment added to it. So you get sheer to light coverage with this product. And just, I have said this from the beginning, this is not something to please the masses, okay? This is a genre, okay? And a lot of people do not fit in this genre. I am one of the girlies that does fit in this genre, okay? And I'll tell you why. Even though this feels, when you put it on, it feels a little heavy at first, and it is very emollient. So if you cannot get down with that, if you are already oily, it's a no-go. Like, it is a no-go. Although some of you have said, I'm oily and I like it, I believe you. I'm just saying, for most people, I feel like it would probably be a no-go. So very, very emollient. However, after it settles into the skin every single day, every single time that I've worn this, my skin just looks angelic, youthful, healthy. Especially if I were 25 years older than I am right now, even like 15, 20 years older, I feel like this is what I would be wearing every single day, because I feel like I look younger when I use it, okay? And I'm 30. Depending on who you ask, I'm either still very young or, starting to get a little old. I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was someone saying something about how they used to be obsessed when their mom would play their Justin Timberlake CD in the car. When their mom would play Justin Timberlake CD. Justin Timberlake didn't go solo until what? Like early 2000s? And even at that, the song that they were referencing was one of his later albums. So I'll just let that sink in. So back to this. Yeah. I think that if you have more mature skin, this is going to be a winner. So back to the way it feels, it is very emollient, very rich, but also very hydrating, and it offers light coverage, sheer to light. You are not going to be able to cover up dark spots with this. It's really just going to give you an even complexion. Now, I do understand that there is some type of inconsistency because I have 3 shades in this. I have fair, light, and medium. And my fair shade has always been very smooth, like no issues with it. But this light color that I have kind of has the granules that a lot of people complain about. And I know a lot of people were frustrated with. It does, and I don't know if Bobbi has explained this or why this formula does this, but there are granules in this, and it's like they dissolve once you start buffing into the skin, but I can see where that would be off-putting. My fair shade has never done that, but my light one that I have here, which would be like my current shade, it's got those little granules in it. So it is weird. I'll admit that. Again, all I can say is it is an acquired taste, but it is a beautiful, youthful looking skin tint on me, and that's truly all I could ask for, especially when I want just like really like a Bobbi look, a Bobbi Brown look, which is a barely there style look, just put together chic, this is what I would reach for. So honestly, I'm gonna give this one a 4 because like I said, nothing that I have in my collection makes my skin look like as youthful as this does. It's just some type of magic to me. I have never put this on and felt disappointed in the way my skin looks. We got another favorite coming up here, the Summer Fridays Sheer Skin Tint. Again, this is one I reach for when my skin likes to act up, when I am feeling parched, when I am feeling dry, dehydrated. This brings me back to life. Something about this feels very skincare-esque to me. I do also like that this does not have SPF in it because, like I mentioned before, sometimes certain SPFs can really irritate my skin, and although a skin tint might be a really lovely formula, I end up not being able to wear it because of the SPF. This is just such a good skin tint. I always say that this is the epitome or like the face of what you would think of when you think of a good skin tint. It just checks all the boxes. It's very hydrating, it gives light coverage, evens out the complexion. Again, just like most of the skin tints we're talking about today, you are not going to be able to cover like dark spots with it. Generally, my redness does peek through a little bit. It's just to be expected. Like if I'm reaching for this, I'm telling myself, hey, like I don't care if the redness pops off a little bit today, you know? I'm gonna get straight to it. She's a 5. Like I love this product. Okay, these final two that I'm about to talk about are the last of the ones that I have face swatches for. The rest going forward are probably going to be hand swatches just because they're either too light for me or I just simply like today I was like, whatever I have left to put on my face, like we're calling it quits because it's, like I said, been 4 days of swatching all of these on my face. So these will be the last two of the ones that I have face swatches for. But let's go ahead and start with another drugstore. This is L'Oreal's Age Perfect 4-in-1 Tinted Balm. And when this came out, it came out close to the time that the Jones Road What the Foundation came out. And a lot of people were comparing these and saying that this was a drugstore dupe. Personally, the only thing I feel that's similar with the Jones Road and the L'Oreal is that the coverage level is about the same. You're going to get a solid light coverage out of both of these, sheer to light, honestly. With the Age Perfect Balm, to me, it's more of a satin finish. And so I have found that on days when I am struggling with texture or dryness, it's probably not the best bet for me. However, it does feel really nice. Like it feels really good on the skin. I kind of reach for this when I'm having good skin days because of the sheer coverage that it offers. And again, it leans a little bit more in that satin finish. So I have to make sure that I'm not, dry anywhere. Honestly, same as the Jones Road, just in the sense that this one, I would honestly mark it more towards like a combination oily skin type. It's gonna get a 3.5 from me. Definitely a little above average, but one that I do have to swim around, if you will. I have to make sure that there's just no excessive amount of dryness happening. And as long as I hydrate really well and I'm having a good skin day, this is one that will perform well for me. This is one I just don't know if I have a definite rating for because I would feel guilty giving this a 100% rating right now because I've only used it 2 or 3 times. It's the Cali Ray Free Dreaming Skin Wellness Diffusing Tint. And I just don't have a good color match in this. I have 2 shades and neither one of them matched me really well. So I've not been able to judge this, I feel like, accurately because each time I've worn it, I felt like the color didn't look good, so obviously like I'm looking at it like it doesn't look the best on my skin. I think same thing goes for the demo. You'll see in the demo I have shade number 4, and it's a little bit too peachy on me. It's a little dark and peachy. So I am just going to probably not rate this one, okay? Are we good with that? Because I just, maybe if I had a shade that fit me better, I might be able to judge it a little bit more accurately, but I do want to say that it has fragrance in it and it smells like the beach. Like it smells like very beachy, like beachy sunscreen, a little bit of like coconut maybe in there. So I don't know if that's added fragrance. I don't know if that's maybe natural ingredients that they use, but do want to make you aware of that. It says it has prickly pear hydration, sheer buildable application with blurring illusion. Yeah, it's just been hard. It's been hard for me to gauge this one. So she's the only one I think I'm just gonna like set out from this. Oh, wait, actually I do have one more I think that I have a face demo for. This is YSL Nu Skin Tint. This one I want to honestly pair with the Trini London. I think they're very similar in the sense that they have more of a luxury price tag, but they do fall into that typical tinted moisturizer category. This looks really lovely on the skin. I have no complaints with it. It is a little bit versatile for me, a little bit more versatile than the Trini London. I don't know what it is. Something about it just pairs better when I layer more makeup with it, if that makes sense. Whereas the Trini London one, I would go for more like sheer everyday application, like tinted moisturizer with a blush. This one I feel like can build up really well with everything. It is very easy to apply. I find that it gives actually more of a satin finish. So oftentimes I feel like I don't even have to set it, which I love. So we're going to give this one probably a 3.5 also. Looking back on all these formulas that we've talked about, are there ones that are more affordable that can do the same thing? Absolutely. So we're going to give it a notch above average. It does have a good performance. It does look good. It layers well with other products, but there are things in my collection that I would reach for at a lower price point that can perform just the same. Okay, we have 7 left to talk about, and I actually eliminated one because, like the Cali Ray, I felt like I hadn't tried it enough, and it was the Iris and Romeo Better Skin Days. So if you like that one, I'm sorry, I just have not had it long enough to feel like I can, accurately test it. So let's move into one that I've had pretty much, I wouldn't even say love-hate relationship with. Like, I really despised this when they first launched this product, and they've since kind of reformulated it, and they sent it to me to try again. And some of you are probably going to know what this is. The thing that got me with this back in the day was the smell. I could not with the smell on this product. It was awful. It has since gotten a little bit better, but I'm just going to tell you, this is not one of my favorite skin tints to reach for. And this was such a big deal on TikTok for the longest time. This was the hype product. This was the skin tint. Like, if you weren't using the skin tint, you weren't living, baby. It's Ilia's Super Serum Skin Tint. You know what? Like, I just smelled of it before I started filming. And honestly, I don't think the smell is that much better. It smells like Play-Doh to me. Like, and they say there's a reason why it smells like this, and they talk about it, and I forgot the reason for it. And I can't remember what they said or the reason why it smells like this, but the old formula I felt still smelled like Play-Doh, but it smelled like dirt mixed in. Awful. And I could just smell it all day long. This is one that, for me, again, I feel like it's too glowy. It's too glowy for what I want in daily wear. Maybe I just haven't given it like another shot. I mean, I wore it a few more times after I can't keep smelling it. It smells like raw cake batter, like raw devil's food cake batter, but like an unappealing way. I don't know. I can't get down with the smell on this. But smell aside, it's just too glowy for me. Like, I want something that has a good middle ground, and this is just heavy on the glow. Again, not something I would pair with for a full face look. Like, it's something, sure, I'd wear at the beach. I'd wear, running errands, but just for a multi-purpose all-around skin tint, it's not the one that I'm reaching for. And I know I'm going to be stepping on a lot of toes here, but it's just never been for me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. She's going to get a 2. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the disrespect, but that's my thoughts. That's my feelings on it, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, this is a newer one from Maybelline that I just tried recently, and I have to say I'm pretty pleased with it. It's the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Skin Tint. And if you look at this, it looks just like the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. Also, the Maybelline, what's Maybelline's version of that? Maybe, the one that's got like the sponge tip applicator. I have it at my house, not here, and I can't think of the name. But you get what I'm saying, like those really pearlescent not necessarily skin tints, but like multi-purpose highlighter or priming products. So just think Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter or the Maybelline version of that. So that's like, think of that, but more pigment added. And that's what this is. So they just took it, bumped it up a level, added more coverage, added more pigment, and you get this. And I have to say, number one, I was really surprised with the coverage. This is like a medium coverage product, okay? And if you want to see, let's see, do I have a video up on this yet? I think I do. I think I have a video on my Instagram using this. But it gives medium coverage and it also lasts really long on the skin. So a lot of skin tints, you know, are not blessed in the longevity category. This one I feel like it is, but you have to like a glowy finish. You have to like a little bit of that pearlescent finish in order to be a fan of this. So this checks a lot of boxes. The longevity is good. The coverage is good. And I think it looks really pretty on. It is not overly glowy. It's not wet looking in the sense of like the Ilia or the Say Slip Tint. It offers glow, but not sweat glow. You know what I mean? I'm going to give it a 4. I've really been liking this. I've been enjoying it. And I think if you're a fan of the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter or even the Maybelline version, you will be a fan of this as well. I don't know if I've had the opportunity to use this in a video on my channel yet, but I have talked about it on Instagram, and it's Bobbi Brown's new Vitamin Enriched Skin Tint. I really like this. I'm a fan of Vitamin Enriched Skin Base, just the moisturizer itself. And so this is kind of like a play off of that. And I have been really pleased with how it looks, how it feels. It feels very hydrating. It looks even on the skin. I just always have to hand it to Bobbi Brown for complexion. I generally really appreciate their complexion products. And this really is no exception. I think it's a beautiful formula. Looks lovely on. I've had no complaints with it. It's one that looks good with the rest of my makeup. It's one that's held up throughout the day, and it's very easy to apply. I think I've only applied this with my hands so far. Solid 4. Like solid 4. The only reason I'm not going to give it a 5 is because I've owned it for probably a month, maybe right at a month. So I feel like that's not the longest time to give it a 5-star. But we're going to go with the 4 Arena. This one makes me laugh because I think, wasn't this Gwyneth Paltrow's brand? Maybe I'm wrong. Juice Beauty? Did Gwyneth Paltrow own this, or am I just like hallucinating? And I'm laughing because did you all see her ad for Seed, the vitamin company? I have been dying over that ad. She did an ad and she pops the vitamin in her mouth for 2 seconds and then spits it out, and she starts talking about all the benefits. Then you hear like someone making a freaking cappuccino in the background, frothing milk, and she's like, oh, sorry, Moses is steaming milk in the background. And then she just goes right back into talking about the benefits of the Seed vitamin. And you know what cracks me up? It honestly made me want to buy the Seed vitamin. Like, she literally said, I do not care. I forgot to do this ad for Seed, and I'm going to do it at 10 p.m. when my kid's steaming milk. So that I have been live, laugh, loving that Gwyneth Paltrow ad. But I thought Juice Beauty was her brand. Maybe I'm wrong. This has been out for ages. Like, I remember being in college and having like samples of this in my Ipsy bag. And I don't know what possessed me to buy this. I bought this last year at Ulta. I was just browsing and I was like, you know what? Let's like give it a go. Girl, she does nothing. She does nothing for me, and maybe I'm just missing something here. It's considered a CC cream, so that tells you she's been around the block. Like, I don't think they're still doing CC creams. You know what I mean? Also, this smells like an expired box of Fruit Loops to me. Like, I knew what it smelled like before I bought it, but yeah, it's got this really weird, like, sweet plant smell to it. But also it just smells like a big giant Fruit Loop. I don't know. This is a pretty expensive CC cream, if I remember. I want to say it was like in the $40 range. And I just never wear it. It's so sheer that it literally does nothing for me. And I don't feel like it helps my skin out at all. If anything, it may like hinder the appearance of my skin. So honestly, she's probably gonna get a 1. I don't reach for it. And I honestly could lose it today and it would not hurt my feelings. Moving right along, we're going to get the spirits up with, again, another affordable skin tint, which I love and I think is also highly underrated. This is the number 7 Hydra Luminous Aqua Release Skin Perfector. This is expensive in affordable form. Like, this looks expensive on the skin, but at a great price point. Again, this has a terrible shade range. Like, I thought they were discontinuing this when I saw how few shades this actually had. So I have to give it a heavy dock for that. It's very likely you will not find a shade in this that's going to match you. I think there's literally 4 or 5 colors, which is so unfortunate because this is such a good skin tint. It really does feel and look amazing on the skin. It just looks like healthy baby angelic skin. A big surprise for me with this product is that it's not ultra glowy. You would think with the name Hydra Luminous it would be very glowy, and it's really not. It's borderline just natural finish. Like, it looks very natural, healthy on the skin. I don't have to set it most days. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 4. I love the way it looks. I probably should dock more for the sucky shade selection, but if we're just talking in terms of formula, this is a very good formula. Number 7, if you're watching, expand the formula. Shiseido Synchro Skin. I think the whole Synchro Skin line is underrated. I think Shiseido is underrated. Shiseido SPFs are like my favorite. This is the Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Skin Tint. This has been a long time favorite of mine. I've been using this for 2 to 3 years now, and it's just a really good multi-purpose skin tint. I feel like that is universal for any skin type. It has a natural finish to it. It gives a decent amount of coverage. I would say light medium coverage out of this one, and it just looks so good on the skin. It's very forgiving. It gives enough coverage to hide, it would definitely hide blemishes. It would definitely hide redness. Dark spots, you might be, you know, leaning into a category where you'd want to reach for a concealer. But I have loved this since the day that I tried it. I have no complaints out of this one. And I think it's like highly underrated. I barely ever hear anyone talk about this. I'm gonna also give this one a 5. Like, it looks good. Shade range is pretty good with Synchro Skin lineup. And yeah, it's got pretty much everything that I want in a daily wear product. Like, it is something I can trust to wear with pretty much any makeup look. So this one's getting in the 5 family too. Last but not least, we have my girl here, Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Skin Tint. This is one that is also obviously very expensive. It is Chanel, and I feel like it's a pretty controversial one too, because I will often read comments from you all when I use this just being like, you know, I just don't feel like it's worth it, and I totally understand. This is like, again, the way I described Jones Road, a moisturizer with a little bit of pigment added. This is like a serum with pigment suspended in it, with a few droplets of pigment suspended in it. And I find that I love wearing this in the summertime a little bit more than I do in the wintertime, just because it does offer sheer coverage. Like, when I say sheer, I mean sheer. It's really just gonna tint your skin, but similar to how I was saying, like the Neutrogena and the Jones Road give me that really youthful look, this does, because less pigment and high concentration of water or serum is going to give you that fresh, youthful baby skin style look. And so I cannot fault this for that, okay? That is, she came to serve. She came to do what she came to do, and she did it, okay? So this is a sheer serum with pigment suspended within. So I wouldn't even think of this as maybe a tint or foundation. It's just, I don't know why I'm riding so hard for this. I mean, truly, like, when I discovered this, I felt super confident, like, for months wearing this. It was it for me, baby. The only complaint that I have is the original. This is the original. They have a newer one that has more coverage. I would consider that one more of a foundation. This does have the Chanel fragrance in it, unfortunately, which I absolutely hate, but it does not linger. So I will say that. The newer formulation of this, Water Fresh, God, I have said so many foundation and skin tint names today. I don't even know what it's called. You know, just like the newer version of this one is fragrance free. So I wish they would just go ahead and do that for this formulation too. But if you're feeling bougie one day at the Chanel counter and you just want to have baby glowing skin, like, it's worth it for me. I really enjoyed this. And you know what? I'm going to give it a 4.5. And I don't feel the need to defend myself. I've said what I need to say. Okay guys, that is it. God knows how long this video is going to be. I hope you enjoyed seeing a breakdown of all of my skin tints. Let me know if you want me to keep doing this, like rate my cream blushes, rate my, you know, lip glosses, whatever. Like, let me know if you like this theme. I can continue it. Just know it takes several days to film. I procrastinated this video. I literally procrastinated it for like 2 years now. But I can keep it up if you would like. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.